far left, we have City Attorney Van Venerian. To my direct left, City Clerk, Ms. Jennifer Stewart. To my right, Finance Director, Ms. Chelsea Pesta. HR Director and Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Miranda Gross. Fire Chief, James Coomer. DPW Superintendent, Dan Ladd. Assistant to the City Manager, Mr. Scott Schrader. Police Chief, Mr. Paul Shakinis. Deputy Chief of Police, Ms. Heather Kolke. And Planning Commissioner, Mr. O'Rourke. And our distinguished guest, County Commissioner, Dr. A.J. Rahman. Madam Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome everyone. At this time, would everyone please stand for the pledge of
Recording in progress.
in the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. The invocation will now be said by Mayor Pro Tem Lublin.
Thank you, Mayor. Dear God, we ask you to preside over this meeting tonight. Help us to act as a unified team to open our hearts and make fair and just decisions that improve our community. Also, may we come together as a whole with the courage and strength to show kindness and compassion as we collectively work towards the betterment of humanity. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Would the clerk please call roll?
Ackley?
Here, Alpena County.
Thank you. Ambrose?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Locke? Lublin?
Here.
Osnick?
Here.
Woods?
Here.
Mayor Ackley, we did have correspondence from Councilmember Locke that she would not be in attendance this evening. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Lublin supports.
By Woods, do I have a second?
Lublin supports.
Okay,
That
we
would
have a
be
motion.
Lublin.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a request, any request for agenda changes.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask that during the city manager's report, if we can get update on the recent stolen vehicles within the city.
You can do that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I'll turn it back over to the clerk for audience participation.
Good evening, everybody. We do have audience members present physically, and if those are online, there are options. You need to hit *6 to unmute yourself online, and to raise hand on the online is *9. Are there any audience online? I don't.
No.
No. Any audience members present this evening that would like to speak? Please approach the podium. Not at this time? No? Okay, very good.
Okay. Moving on, I would ask now for a motion to approve the minutes of council meeting of January 17th, 2023. Do I have a motion, please?
Fernandez to make that motion.
Ambrose, support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Locke? Lublin?
Yes.
Osnick?
Yes.
Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Ackley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is council report. Does anyone on council who sits on one of our other boards, either just as a guest or as a board member, have any reports tonight?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a report. Oh, so go ahead, John.
Planning Commission member
Yes.
Osnick, we have tentative approval to the Sliders group that is setting up a place right there by, used to be Jenny's. So we gave tentative approval, site plan approval, but it's predicated on approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Okay. And then there's a second item that is listed, and I'm going to defer to the city attorney at this point in time on that issue.
Thank you, Councilmember Osnick. At the Planning Commission meeting last week, one of the Planning Commission members, Member Dennis O'Rourke, proposed which was approved by the Planning Commission, a proposed change to the accessory structure provisions of the zoning ordinance pertaining to lakefront lots. Essentially, what the proposed ordinance change would do is it would reduce the setback for accessory structures from the lake itself from 30 feet to 10 feet. It would also reduce the side setback somewhat from 3.5 feet to 3 feet, but it would also limit the size of sheds to not larger than 8 feet by 10 feet, and it would also limit the number of sheds on the lakefront lots to not more than one. So this is the basically the gist of what was recommended by the Planning Commission, and they asked me to bring the matter before council. Basically, if council wanted to move forward with this, you could either instruct me to move forward with a draft ordinance and bring it back to you at the next meeting, or you could refer it back to the Planning Commission for further review and study if you wanted to do that, or you could just decide to leave the current ordinance in place as it is.
Okay. Do we want to just leave that in the attorney's report to discuss, or do you want to add that under new business? Let's just leave it in the attorney's report, and then we don't have to adjust the agenda.
Yep, I see.
We can have a discussion at that time.
That sounds good.
Okay? Alrighty. Did you have anything else, Mr. Olson?
No, I didn't. I'm going to defer to Mindy Fernandez.
Okay.
Hi. In the Parks and Rec Commission meeting, we talked about the upcoming concerts in the park that will be going again. We have a really good lineup, so I want to make sure everybody comes out on Wednesday nights to Riley Park, or not, Hiram Sims. And then we also talked about the pickleball court. We did ask DPW Dan Ladd to go back and give us a price on how upgrading and resurfacing the whole court instead of just doing lines over it. We think it'll just make it a better experience. So that is an ongoing project that we have, and we're very excited about.
Mayor, it seems appropriate at this time to let Mr. Ladd speak on the pickleball courts, because I was going to bring it up under my report. So if with permission, I'll bring Mr. Ladd forward and give us an update on his pursuit of pickleball courts.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Ladd, help me out.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. City Manager Witt. So the pickleball court, the plans have been tossed around, or the idea is basically rehabbing the existing tennis court at Hiram Sims Park. They would involve repairing all the cracks, painting it with 3 layers of paint, restriping it, however many. We could fit 4 pickleball courts in there, or 2, and leave a tennis court in there. So that's one option. Another option that has been tossed around is actually at Riley Park, behind the gazebo. There's enough room there to put 3 courts in, brand new. The cost at Hiram Sims Park is roughly $15,000. I talked to a couple of asphalt companies. As far as resurfacing it, it would be very difficult to get the equipment and the machines in there and the trucks to put the asphalt down on the existing asphalt. So that's probably not a great option, to put a new layer of asphalt on top of the old asphalt. And then Riley Park, behind the gazebo, we could put 3 courts there and leave the gazebo, remove all the railing, remove all the shrubbery around the gazebo, make a nice walk right around it, and then the players could use that to store their equipment, gather, put some picnic tables up, have lunch. I think that'd be a really good option. So,
That's it.
any questions?
Do you have a price on the Riley?
The one that I did get preliminary was between $30,000 and $50,000.
Okay.
So it depends on how extensive you want to get on the fencing and everything else. So
We're still pursuing that whole concept of what to do, and what we haven't made a recommendation, but we're asking about that. It seems that pickleball courts are on our agenda for spring, so we'll get with you with a final proposal. It'll have to come to this commission. We're going to take it back by the rec commission and then to the council. You'll get to vote on that before we finalize anything.
Perfect, thank you. Appreciate all the work on this.
Mayor, might I have him report on our water main break downtown since he's standing there? We concluded the water main repairs through WRC this afternoon. I'm hoping they had the hole closed down there, but there's a couple of other issues that we could mention tonight. Dan, are you ready to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, give them an update on our downtown water, 12-inch asbestos water line.
Okay, so Monday morning when I got to work, I usually do a inspection of the city, all the major roads and the parks. And so when I went by 103 East Walled Lake Drive, the greenhouse, there was water in the road, Pontiac Trail and East Walled Lake Drive in the intersection. It's pretty icy, so got some salt, took care of it. Contacted WRC, they came out, verified it was a water main leak. It is a 12-inch AC main, which is asbestos cement pipe. Goes from Pontiac Trail over to Liberty, and there is no hydrant in between that area. So today when they were actually doing the repair, it's kind of a good thing there was no hydrant there because they can't release the pressure from the pipe, so they had to do it live, which made it so the pressures didn't drop in the pipe, so they didn't have to issue a boil water. If it drops below 20 psi for a certain amount of time, they have to issue a boil water for 2 days till it comes back bacteria-free. So they were able to get in there and get the repair done today. It went really well, and the sidewalk had to be removed a couple of sections. They put cold patch in there, make it safe, so it is pedestrian safe.
One more wrinkle. The water line has been repaired a few times in the last few years. It's really old, and it probably predates the sidewalks that exist down there, which means it's very, very old. From where we sit, now we have to consider what we're going to have to do underground before we do the sidewalks, which brings us right into special assessments for sidewalks, and that all has to be factored in. So I'm going to have to work with the superintendent and water resources to see how much time we've got left. Don't want to go putting in brand-new sidewalks down there and the pipes are collapsing. But I believe they've got to be 50 years old underneath there or longer.
Is there multiple location leaks?
Yes.
When they excavated the leak today, I knew of one in the same location, but they did also find one other one that
Well,
was
we're
done
going to do
before
some
that.
research on the fixes that they had to make. And of course, again, we know that underground, and it's not unusual for these older cities. Walled Lake is the oldest. This community of Walled Lake gave birth to the surrounding areas. A metropolis now. We're farm areas, and they're living a dream. All of their infrastructure is relatively new. Walled Lake is not in that position. Ours is relatively old, and so most folks sitting here know where the new stuff is, but you also know where the old stuff is, and so we're going to have to factor that in terms of doing work downtown, and that's going to take another minute. So that came up this week, and it's something we have to bring to you later when we find out how much of a need underground there is and how much time we got, if we can figure that out. So we'll be back to you on that. I think I can let you sit down now, Dan.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a report as well.
Okay, go ahead. I was going to say, let's go back to the council report. If there's anyone else? Okay, Bennett.
Good. We've had 2 library board meetings since our last council meeting. We are excited about a major renovation project. It's been over 20 years since really anything's been done over there. We've got a lot of bookshelves, a majority of them. Some we've already replaced. We're doing carpeting or some type of flooring. We've put together a plan with the library design company, and we'll be presenting that at our budget meeting. And this is something that we look to be doing in, hopefully, Labor Day weekend. We're going to have to be shut down for about a week to 10 days while books are taken out, shelving is taken away. This company does everything. The library has been saving money for years. We have saved over 100% of our annual budget, and a good healthy number is always to have about 25 or 40%. So we will not be going below that 40% level, and the idea is to save the money before we spend it. There is a millage that's going to be coming up for renewal. It's not a new millage, it's the continuous one, but every 10 years it has to be renewed, and I think that's in 2024. So, we want to show we've improved our, our circulation, our materials, our patrons count is up, and now we want to make our building and, our place look like it's, part of the program. So we look forward to that, and that'll be coming before the board in the next couple of months during budgets.
Tremendous.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about it? Is there anything else? Any other council reports? Okay, there being none, I guess it's time to turn it over to the city manager for his report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've already given you a couple of reports that I probably would have given you now, but let me start by requesting the council and mayor move to receive and file the departmental and divisional statistical reports.
Do I have a motion, please?
What's the motion? Ambrose will second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions or comments? There being none, let's have a roll call vote.
Locke, Lublin,
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
The second item that I listed on our agenda for tonight is fresh on the lips of Councilmember Lublin. The library millage. I want to report to council that we're looking at 2 millages coming up. Library millage, what you have, I believe, Ms. Jakeway handed out copies of previous resolutions moving us forward on millages. These are for your information to kind of get you up to speed on what it's going to look like should we do that. Not looking for you to pass a resolution tonight, but we're looking for you to know that you got to do that to move it forward. The police chief and the fire chief was here about their millage. I don't know if they want to speak on getting that on the agenda or how quick. I know they want it passed because the public safety millage includes both of those departments as part of the public safety department. So that's all I've got. I need to say on that. We need to move it forward, Madam Finance Director. When do we need to get that on the agenda?
Next month.
Next month. Okay, so I would request next month, is the resolution going to be ready for them to?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. Next month, we'll be on our agenda for passage and move it forward. There's 2 millages, right? 2?
Those are both up this fall?
I didn't hear.
No, you said, are they both up this fall? No, I think it's the following year.
Following year, okay, okay.
We'll be moving them forward. That's and we'll get the times and give a full report at the next meeting on the millages, so you have the details of that. Let's call number 3 here. Let's get a report from the chief on the public safety issues we've been having down on the lake area. Do we have a setup for this? We're going to give you a bit of an in-depth. I did have a heads up on this, so we're going to give you a little bit of information that you might not have expected. But Chief, it's yours now.
Good evening, Council. Walled Lake is not immune from what we're seeing nationally. Unfortunately, Chrysler products, particularly Dodge and Jeep, are being stolen in record numbers. On average, we see 6 to 8 stolen vehicles in Walled Lake a year. Most of those are stolen either by breaking a window or with the keys. The circumstances of it are usually pretty known. Unfortunately, what is happening now is that there is new technology, unfortunately, and it's called a fob relay attack. So what criminals have found out that they can actually access your key fob from in your home and use it to start your car, unlock your car, start your car, and drive away with it without you knowing about it, without you setting off the alarm, and with no damage to the vehicle. Unfortunately, looking at the numbers, we have had 7 stolen cars in the last 3.5 months, since November 1st. Of those, they've been a Jeep Grand Cherokee, Dodge Charger, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, Durango, a Dodge Challenger, another Jeep Grand Cherokee, and most recently, a Dodge Ram. 3 of those vehicles have been stolen within the last 10 days. We actually, shoreline condos down by the lake in the south end of the city. Could we do the suspects first? So at all these reports, none of them were reported as it was happening. All of them are late reports, cars long gone. What you're seeing here is video from shoreline condos. At 3 a.m. on the 19th, 3 subjects, unknown who they are, pull into the complex. I'm not going to pull all the video up. Walk around. And walk out of the frame of the video.
Eight minutes later.
Yep. With the next one.
This is 8 minutes later.
That's a 2020 Dodge Ram, and the owner's sound asleep inside the apartment complex. Of those 7 vehicles, 4 of them have been recovered. 1 was recovered in Ohio. 3 have been recovered in Detroit. I wish I could say that I had a silver bullet or we could put more cops. There's something we can do about it. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot. We're talking about a problem with the security at Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat products. Again, this is happening in Detroit. It's happening in Chicago, New York, LA, all over the country. Can we have the crime map? Mm-hmm. So anything you can access or to look at, if anybody has questions, we actually subscribe to crimemapping.com. And it's just like it's crimemapping.com. And that pulls up, you can do time frames. You can see within a day or 2 of us taking the report, it'll go active, live, it'll tell you. What you're looking at here are all the stolen vehicles from November 1st to today in our area. That's 69 stolen vehicles. I've never seen it like that. So, and talking to my counterparts, the other chiefs and commanders in the area, we're talking almost the same exact thing, Dodge and Jeep products. So one of the best things we can do, locking your cars doesn't really matter. If you can put your vehicle in a garage or tell people to do that, that's one of the best things. They call it a Faraday bag. I don't know if you see them. You can get them for $25 on Amazon. It's unfortunate, but the best thing people can do is walk in their home, get one of these Faraday bags, and put their key fobs in it. That key fob and your car are always communicating, and if you stop that from happening, people can't steal your car, particularly if you have a Dodge or Jeep product. So
What is that called?
it's a Faraday bag.
F-A-R-A?
Yep, it's like a Faraday cage, but you've heard that, but a Faraday bag. It looks like a nylon bag, small, like putting envelopes in. But you can get it for $25 on Amazon. So if you have a Chrysler product, $25 is well worth it, because some of these have been recovered, some of them have been recovered in pieces, some of them have been fully recovered. One gentleman who had the Dodge Challenger had his vehicle stolen twice in 1 year. He took his car in for service in a shop in Detroit, and it appears that they cloned his key fob, and he stole his car out of his driveway twice. He's really, really mad, but there's nothing we can do about it. It was recovered twice, believe it or not, by Detroit Police Department. But so the officers are out there, they're looking, but there's nothing. You saw the video that we saw. If an officer had pulled in that parking lot as that vehicle was pulling out, there was nothing that would have alerted that one officer to that being a stolen vehicle. So this is kind of tough stuff. There's no silver bullet, but the best thing we can do is try to protect ourselves and protect our vehicle. If you've ever had a vehicle stolen, it's extremely painful. It's hard to get the payout from the insurance company if you're that lucky. And sometimes it's really painful if you get your car back. Sometimes it comes back a mess. So the best thing we can do is deterrence. Any questions?
Is there a certain time period that this is happening, or is it just all over the map?
The majority of this is at night, like that was 3 a.m. One of the 7 vehicles was from LaFontaine. They've had their own issues up there, mostly with wheels and tires, but they have actually lost several vehicles as well. Same scenario. So that's been, well, about the same time, early morning. So that has actually slowed down.
It sounds like it's a Chrysler issue. It's not General Motors or Ford. Those key fobs are not, they haven't
Correct.
figured that one out yet.
Correct. Like I said, of the 7 vehicles, every single one of them was a Dodge or Chrysler product. And on the map, I can tell you that I would guess that 99% of them on the map are going to be Chrysler products. So,
Chief, do you have any knowledge of these individuals checking out the area or the certain car before they're stealing it? Do you have any knowledge on that?
so what they're doing is they come in with what we believe is a stolen car to start with. They come in, they'll look at an area. Eagle Pond has been hit several times as well. So they go into complexes. They'll find a Chrysler product. Sort of like we talked, Shoreline, within 10 days, they've had 2 vehicles stolen out of there. So they're casing, if you will, the complex and then returning and coming back and stealing whatever they can find. It's easy pickings, I guess.
Thank you.
Anything else, Council?
Yes.
Do we have any other
Has there-
questions?
Has there been anything going on in the trailer park? Because I know that there are a lot of Dodge products in the trailer parks, Chrysler products.
Yeah, I do not, I don't recall any issues in the trailer park as of yet.
Okay, thank you.
There's a lot of Chrysler products everywhere.
Everywhere. There are hundreds of them up at the Chrysler dealer. And particularly, it's the Hellcats, Chargers. Those are hot topics, so. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have anything further, Dennis?
Yeah, I have one more item. We're going to probably talk about a few items later, but I would like to announce to the council that I've appointed a labor negotiations team. We've been notified by the fire unions. We have 2 that they want to negotiate. 2 contracts are up for negotiation, but paid on calls. You all know what that is. And then the full-time captains, they're up for negotiations. The appointment of the team was this week, and it's going to be led this year by our Human Resources Director, Miranda Gross, staffed by our Finance Director, Chelsea Pesta, my assistant, Hannah Jakeway, and back up to those 3 negotiators will be the Chief of Police. I won't put the fire chief in a position of have to arm wrestle with his own team this year, maybe in the future, but that's our team. Having said that, I might consider asking you to go into executive session tonight to give you an update on where we're at and how we're going forward on that, and to get an insight from all of you at the same time about what kind of negotiations we're going to do. You have a final say, and certainly I'm going to have to meet with you individually to get an idea, or as a group to find out where we're talking about. I think everybody knows we have retention issues, in particular with fire now. They're being recruited with the bonuses in the surrounding areas. Most of you know that. The signing bonuses, it's almost like football. You know, they get $2,500, $3,000 to sign up. We're going to try to keep them here because that's why our fire department works so well. The chief has done a great job, but we have to help him out, and that is we're going to have to take a look at paying them equivalent pay. We have to make sure that we're competitive. Retention becomes an issue for all of my departments, including staff and city hall and all that. But at this moment, we're going to deal with retention of the paid on call and our fire captains and fire marshal. So that's where we are. If you would consider it, Mayor, if you would consider it, maybe go into executive session after everything else is done. Just a quick session to let you know where we are and what it's going to be.
Okay.
If there is a motion, I would bring the team in with me. That would include Ms. Gross, Ms. Pesta, Jakeway, and the Chief of Police.
What's the pleasure of council? Do you want to go into executive session after our meeting this evening?
I think it would be prudent.
Okay, we need a motion. And who you would like to
I'll make that
attend?
motion then.
Was a second?
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Let's just do an all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I guess we'll have executive session.
That'll be at the end of the meeting.
Yes, we'll do
Right.
that at the end so that folks who, they may want to leave a little earlier, but another thing I have on the agenda, or we came up later before the agenda went out, is to inform the council of some development that's going to be happening that affects our jurisdiction. It affects Ladd Road, and it's over on Enterprise Drive. I'm going to ask Ms. Jakeway to give a short report on that, and she was going to point out that she put a map, a rendering, if you will, on your table to show you what's planned in this one particular area. The reason I'm bringing it to you is because this group is asking for some consideration from this council about right-of-ways and all of that. So, Ms. Jakeway, Mayor, if it's okay, Ms. Jakeway is going to give that short report.
Okay, that's fine.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. Presented to you tonight is a concept plan that was presented last week at the DDA meeting. City Manager and myself, we met with Mr. Randy Thomas, who is a local real estate agent in the area, to discuss a proposed development happening in Commerce Township along Enterprise Drive. What's interesting to note about this proposed development is that Enterprise Drive, about 400 feet, according to our superintendent, Dan Ladd, about 400 feet from Center Lane, from Ladd Road, is in Walled Lake's jurisdiction. So while this development will be happening in Commerce Township, Walled Lake, the entrance of Enterprise Drive resides in our jurisdiction. So at this meeting, we discussed some of their proposed plans, but also the direction that they're looking to take this development. Not only will it bring in jobs for their surrounding area, but also we're looking to find ways to improve Ladd Road, being that it's one of the last few roads in Walled Lake that needs some, in need of desperate attention.
Now, let me add to that, apparently the purchaser of this property wants that road abandoned, and they've already gone and got their lawyers to go to the county to get the road abandoned. But there is some provision that they got to get some final approvals from this city council about the jurisdictional things, and we may ask the lawyer to speak on that in a minute. What is going on over there is not just on Enterprise. If you go up, there's another street called Clareton, which circles around. It's going to be a big stretch of land that comes back on Ladd Road. There's significant development that's happening there. When Jakeway and I went there, they were already moving dirt, so they're doing construction now. Having said that, the reason that's probably going to go is some years ago, developers went in and put all of the infrastructure in. So there's roadways in, and apparently drainage was done and everything, and then there was a downturn in that collapse. But it's ready, it's shovel-ready, essentially, and it looks like it's going to go. What we're trying to do is find out what they want from us and try to leverage that whole process into getting all of Ladd Road done from Maple all the way up to McCoy or right up into Wolverine. That Ladd Road will serve essentially three communities. It'll serve Walled Lake, Commerce, and Wolverine Lake, because it goes right into Wolverine Lake if you go there. The worst section looks like it's in our section, so we only have, I think, help me out, less than 2,000 feet is in our... 1,500 feet. 1,500 feet in our jurisdiction, but it's still our responsibility, and it keeps falling off the list for improvements with the tri-party money and all of that. But if we can coordinate with these people and get everybody involved, and then perhaps we can get the whole roadway done, and it looks like a significant development can happen in that area. It's not going to be something we get a lot of taxes from, but we'll get our road done. Having said to that, I had the benefit of meeting our new county commissioner, Dr. Rahman, and with the mayor, and we talked about this. And Dr. Rahman is on the, I believe you're still in the Finance Committee and Economic Development Committee, so he had a particular interest in that and getting the county to know that there's some activity happening. This is his area, so all of that is important to all of us. At some point, we're going to find out exactly what they want the motion to be. They wanted the city council, that's what came to me, Ms. Jakeway, that they want the council to give up whatever rights there exist, which I told them I couldn't do that. I couldn't even agree to that until this council knows about it. So they're looking to do something. They're looking to privatize that whole rate, which makes sense. But they need our final approval on something there. And I think it's a first right of refusal. Do we know, Counselor? We take a guess on what it is?
Well, in order to abandon a county road, there is a statutory process that they have to go through. It involves, preparing and filing a petition with the road commission, and it depends on who signs the petition. If the petition is signed by all the owners of the property that are adjacent to the road or section of road that is proposed for abandonment, then in that scenario, there could be a role that the city would play. If it's not signed by all of the adjacent landowners, then once again, pursuant to the statutory process, then the city's role in the process is somewhat different. There is the process does involve, in certain circumstances, the city having the, I guess what you would call a right of first refusal. If the County Road Commission agrees to abandon the county road pursuant to the petition, then it defaults to the city to decide whether or not they want to take the road. But once again, it depends on a couple of different factors that we don't yet know. I did speak with the realtor. I did speak with the attorney who's representing the buyer, and I also did speak with the deputy attorney for the road commission. And based on my discussions, nobody seemed to, they're all kind of handing the ball off to the other guy. So I did request a copy of any petition that has been filed, and that would ultimately tell me exactly what the city's role would be in this process. I haven't yet gotten a copy of the petition, and I honestly don't know if one has yet been filed. It kind of sounds like there's just been some talk up to this point. Nothing formal has actually been prepared or presented to the road commission, but it is something that I am looking into and following up on, and I will, once we find out exactly what it is they're doing, then I'll be in a position to advise the council as to exactly what their legal options are in this matter.
So I have a question. When they say they want us to abandon the road, or they want the county to abandon the road, they're saying they want the road to like go away?
What they want the county road commission to abandon this particular piece of, they want the county road commission to abandon the public right-of-way. Right now, it's a county road.
So that road is a county road?
Yeah.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Enterprise Drive is a county road?
Yeah, for whatever, it kind of surprised me.
Not a private, like subdivision road?
And so that's what they're
Right,
trying to do.
right. I was expecting, when I looked at this, I was expecting that to be a private drive, but apparently when it was built, I don't know exactly when it was built, but apparently was dedicated and accepted as a county road. Presumably because the landowner didn't want the responsibility of maintaining it, plowing, salting, resurfacing, et cetera. That by making it a county road, it then becomes the county's responsibility, but then, you're on their list of maybe it gets done and maybe it doesn't, so.
Well, there's right-of-ways along Enterprise Drive. It's not just Ladd Road anymore. By that being a county road, 30 feet or 60 feet or whatever it is, along Enterprise Drive is a right-of-way as well, because it's a county road.
Yeah, they would be looking to abandon the entire, right, the county right-of-way goes beyond the curb line or the improved paved portion of the roadway. There's some, it goes on each side of the paved portion of the road. So, yeah, what they're looking to do is abandon the county's right-of-way, public right-of-way, and convert it into a private road.
Enterprise Drive,
Yes, yes.
I understand.
Well, let me add something to that in a couple of years' experience. So once the road is abandoned, we make the assumption it's going to privatize the road. But I wouldn't make that assumption. I would also assume that they could just not have a road and redesign the whole thing, which doesn't affect us necessarily, but if they abandon it as a roadway and they haven't built anything at all, it is a good chance that they will make it a roadway, a private roadway, because it's already in there, but they don't have to have a road there. They can redesign it and have the outlet some other way if they're connected. So it doesn't guarantee there'll be a private road there. It looks like it ought to be a road if they've already got infrastructure in, but there's no, if they abandon it, then there's no say on the road. The only thing that we got is that 400 feet from center line, about 400 feet. And if indeed the law says that we have a first right of refusal, for lack of a better term, then they're going to need us to do that. They did ask that I bring it to the council and get abandonment or give up our right, the city council give up its right to whatever rights he has beforehand. And I told them I wouldn't necessarily bring that to the council's commission. So we're having this open discussion on it, and if they were open with us and tell us what they're trying to do. I think it's a great idea to develop the area, and I think it does bring jobs. I think Ms. Jakeway is right. It brings jobs. It brings activity. It improves the economy for all of the area. So we should consider doing what they want, but only if we know exactly what our responsibilities will be and what we got, and if we can get Ladd Road improved. So there may be some opportunity here to get all of that done. Based on what I see, that ought to be worth a couple of bucks for a big development like this. And if we can get Ladd Road done, even from Maple up there, and get the other communities to put in some of their money to get the whole road done, it would be useful for all of us. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. Ultimately, you get to vote one way or the other, I believe. I believe it comes back to you for a vote if they pursue it. So.
Question. Does that abandonment that they're requesting take us all the way north to the city limits on that side of the road?
No, what they're asking for, the way I understood it, is what you got there. It just showed that 400 feet from center line toward down Enterprise is all that we would give up. If they're going to abandon the roadway, I think Enterprise ends at Ladd Road. I don't think it goes, there's anything on the other side there. Is that what you're talking? They're not abandoning anything on Ladd Road. This is the Enterprise Drive is
Just on the west side.
It's a county road, which
Right.
is kind of surprising, but
So the abandonment is only on the west side of Ladd Road.
that's our understanding, but I haven't seen any of it. I'm like the city attorney, I want to see all of their petitions, what it is they're doing, but I think it's just the picture you got. That's how it was represented. This is what they're looking at. And anything other than that, I don't know if they're going to develop anything other, or if they want anything other, so.
No. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm not sure I need any to talk more about that,
Yep.
so that's done for the day. And I'm finished, Mayor.
you're all done.
Mr. City Manager, do we know what the proposed development is?
Well, that's a very good question. The answer to that is no, and this picture doesn't tell us much. It says it's encouraging. Again, experience tells me that if this picture has 11 buildings, you don't necessarily get 11 buildings. So it's easy to draw a picture, but they're not investing in this because it's fun. They're looking to make the most out of it. They could put 12 buildings, they could put more or less. I think they're going to develop it. I can't guarantee you how it is. I'm not selling their development. This picture should encourage anybody, but there's no guarantee they put 11 buildings, even where they're putting them. Once they do it, we won't know until they put together a site plan proposal for commerce. And I've not seen anything like that. We've not done that. I don't think they've locked it down yet. I think we're still in the process of those purchasers buying that area.
Okay.
Something has happened on Clareton, and we were informed that it's the same group. They own some of that out there, and they got site plans in it because they're moving dirt around. They got it staked out and bulldozers and whatnot. So there's activity over there on the other street, which is pretty close to all of this. So there's going to be some significant kind of industrial development there this coming year. We're going to see some significant stuff. If they get this all packaged, you'll probably see something there, but I don't know that it even looks like this until you see the site plan proposal. And it'd be another issue. They may think they need site plan approval for that 400 feet. And indeed, depending what they put there, if it doesn't, they could end up needing site plan approval because it shouldn't be too difficult, but this is not unlike what happened on Decker and on 14, where they put the facility all in Commerce, and then the entrance was on Wall Lake, and we went through that mess, but we didn't get any of the tax dollars from it. Mr. Ladd had to deal with that for quite a while, and we get no tax dollars, but we get the community served by that facility.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Just my thought, again, is by abandoning the county road, it's about setbacks. And by it being a non-county road, their setback requirements are going to be less. And they can work with the Commerce Township, which is most of the development, can make it a special development, and it's got to do with usable property.
That's exactly it. It's much more accommodating for a commercial unit development or whatever they're going to do. So yes, this is all about maximizing the use of the property. Nothing wrong with that, though. I think it's a good strategy if they can get it. So, nothing wrong with it.
Okay. Moving on, you're finished with your report
Yes, Mayor, I'm
tonight?
concluded for the time being.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence tonight?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Attorney's report. We're back to the discussion of the amendment to the zoning ordinance regarding the lakefront.
Yes, Madam Mayor, and where I left this is, council has a couple different options here. You can either leave the current zoning regulations as they are. You could instruct me to draft a proposed zoning ordinance amendment, bring it back at the next meeting, or you could refer it back to the Planning Commission for further study and review.
Okay. Council have any thoughts on this? I'm not aware of the discussion that went on regarding this. I know we've done some new stuff on the lake with whatever you want to call them, sheds, or some of them that have been done recently are pretty fancy. But I think before we take any action, we've got to have something either written up or, so do we want to send it to Planning Commission to do the ordinance? Do we want the city attorney to write it up, or what's the pleasure of council? Is this something you want to go along with, what the Planning Commission is recommending?
I think it puts some consistency within what we've had requested recently, whether it goes back to the planning or it's something that the city lawyer drafts up. I think it go either route, but I think it puts consistency to what we've been seeing in the recent past.
I see nothing wrong with waiting another month and giving everybody on council an opportunity to think about, is this a good idea? And what parts would they change? And what they would like to do, and have some input probably from some lakefront owners who are directly impacted with this. So I'm not saying take it to the LAHA, the Lake Areas Homeowners Association, but I'm sure that somebody from the lakes, from on the lake, should have some input, whether it be formal or informal. That's up to council to determine. But I think if we waited another month and give it some real good thought from the council members, then we can direct the city attorney at that point in time. This doesn't seem to be that imperative for right now. If we wait a month, we're into March, and if we do act on it in March, at our March meeting, then in April and May, we can have it finalized. There may be some issues that we want to address here, and maybe there are some things we want to eliminate from the recommendation. So, but that's
The direction I was going with my question, do we want to have some type of meeting where it can be a public hearing for the people that live on the lake shore? I know there's a lot of different ideas on what should be being allowed on the lake and what shouldn't be allowed on these small parcels. I would like to hear from the lakefront owners as to what they think, whether, I don't know where exactly this came. I mean, I know it was presented by Mr. O'Rourke, but I don't know exactly where we came up with the numbers and the figures, and so I'm just wondering, I'm agreeing with John that we need to put it off, no action tonight.
Well, Mr. O'Rourke is in the audience right now. Maybe you ought to have him address where the information came from. Dennis, would you like to do that?
That would be fine with me. I can't see the audience, so I wasn't sure who was out there, but,
Yeah, Dennis O'Rourke is at the podium right now.
okay.
Thanks,
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
My name is Dennis O'Rourke. I'm at 371 Osprey Street in Walled Lake. I'm a lakefront owner. My apologies for the attire tonight. I had to run up to see my nephew, who was struggling a little bit up at Michigan State, but I wanted to get back in time for this evening. So I am on Planning Commission, and I did put forth this motion. And the main reason why is because as we've seen the dynamics change around the lake, and we see a lot more sheds or structures being put on lakefront, we have an opportunity right now to control how that looks on our lake. If you go from 14 miles south and you look at Novi, which is beautiful, you'll see that there's different structures, different sizes, different numbers of sheds on these different lots. And as you come from 14 Mile and head north into Walled Lake, right now we have a really clean, unobstructed view of the lake. That's really what was promised to people who have moved on to the lake years ago. A lot of homeowners that I've talked to and who've actually approached me with this have also wanted to maintain that pristine and that beauty of the sightline when you're driving on East Lake Drive and Pontiac Trail and on Osprey to have somewhat unobstructed views. Also, being a lakefront owner myself, I recognize the need to have some structures down on the waterfront, right? You do need places to store some of the materials that you want to use on the lake, and there's just a lot of different reasons to do that. So the proposal I put forth actually looks at lakefront sizes, so that'd be the shoreline sizes, and then put specific structure sizes on each of those parcels. So for example, we had mentioned 8 by 10 foot sheds, and that would be on properties that have 60 feet of frontage or more. And as the property sizes get smaller, that would be adjusted accordingly. And this way we can assure that as you drive along the lakefront, you still have a nice visibility of the lake, but also respect the fact that the homeowners on the water do need some storage facilities, and we would allow for that. But it would be a consistent look along the waterfront. It wouldn't be a look of multiple sheds, different sizes, different structures, containers, any of those items that we see along other parts of lakes around our community. It would still allow people to come into our city, enjoy the lakefront, and allow the lakefront owners to have an opportunity to have storage facilities on their property. But it would have a more uniform approach, and it would certainly keep the sightlines of the lake open to people driving along and those who live in the Walled Lake community.
Thank you, Mr. O'Rourke.
Yeah.
I think there are going to be a couple different sides to this, maybe even more than two.
Sure.
I don't know that the size relates to the size of the lakefront, what size storage shed that you might need. You know, there's a lot of variables here. So I think we do need to hear from the general public and, most importantly, the lakefront owners. So I would like to see us set either a public hearing at a council meeting or turn it back over to the planning commission, whatever would be council's pleasure. But I do think we need to get some input on this. I
Mayor?
agree with sight lines and the beauty of the lake, but I also understand the need for the lakefront owners to have storage facilities on the lake shore because most of them live on the opposite side of the road. So it gets a little monotonous running back and forth. So what's council's thought on this? Do we want to hear it or do we want to turn it back over to the planning commission?
If I could add one more item, Mayor, as well. I completely agree with you, and I do think that all lakefront owners should have an opportunity to present a case for, against, or neutral. I also think right now as a city, we do have one chance to get this right. We have one opportunity to start putting in some ordinances to ensure that all of the community is in agreement, right? Because right now, we could have somebody bring in a container and put it on their property. They could be on a 50-foot lot, and as long as it meets the setback requirements, which it may or may not with a 30-foot setback, they could do something like that and completely block a view. And on the next one, you could have a 2-story structure there. And maybe it's only 10 by 10 or 8 by 8, but it's 2 feet tall with stairs coming out the side, if the ordinances allow it. Right now, we have an opportunity to get this right by working as a community to determine what these structures should look like, the size of them, while also maintaining the beauty and the integrity of the lake, and for the people who want to live in Walled Lake who don't have the benefit of living on it, but want to enjoy the walking trail, the bike trail that we have along East Lake Drive, and simply driving along or walking along with their family. So I think we have an opportunity to get this right. I do think the time is now because as I see more new people moving into the area and they start talking about putting larger structures on the property that mimic what they see not only on the Novi side of the lake, but also across lakefront communities here, we have an opportunity to help ensure that the beauty of the lake remains while people do have an opportunity to put storage facilities or sheds on their property. But this is the time to do it, because as people start putting up their structures, then I, for one, would be against any ordinances that don't allow people to do what others are doing currently.
Okay, does council have
Thank you.
any direction they want to go?
Thank you, Dennis.
Nicely done.
I think we should definitely give it, till next month and make sure that we're all in accord with the direction that we want to go. I think our Commissioner O'Rourke said it well.
Okay.
Do you think it would be prudent for the planning commission to hold some sort of a public hearing scheduled for next month, our next month's planning commission meeting, and invite the people that have riparian rights on the Walled Lakes to attend and voice their pros and cons? That way, the planning commission would take action in that regard and bring the results back for next month's meeting. So that's just one, that's just a thought.
I
That's
will
just a thought.
agree, the public hearing will probably benefit us in the long term.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Move to instruct the clerk and staff to call for a public hearing in the planning commission, and we'll have that and be able to report it to the next council meeting, because we have that a week ahead of time, so we can do it.
Then maybe we can, does that require a motion?
I'd like to see a motion from the city council instructing staff to arrange a public hearing at the planning commission, next planning commission meeting. A couple of reasons. Council members themselves can attend. There's 3 planning commission members here tonight, and the city attorney will be at the planning commission meeting, so it's an appropriate place to, and it's timely, so, and it should solve the problem of
I don't have a
input.
dog in this fight,
Neither do I, but I
do
think.
not live on the lake.
You live in our community, you live in this community, and
Yeah,
therefore there's a
I've used
issue.
the lake, and I've used the lake many years, but I do not have riparian rights
Right.
to the lake.
I don't think there's a fight. I think what you're doing here is right. You got to give the folks an opportunity to speak. I think I agree with the mayor. There's going to be different views. It's going to be hard to beat the argument that Commissioner O'Rourke made. He did a beautiful job of saying that, but there's going to be somebody who has a different opinion. That's just the way it is. So, but the public hearing is the solution. You got to start somewhere, and that. So if you get that motion going, and we'll have staff call the meetings and notice it. Public hearing requires a notice and timing, and so motion is appropriate.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Ambrose will make that motion for a public hearing for the Planning Commission meeting in the month of March.
Second.
Support.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Locke. Lublin.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms.
Okay, thank you.
Jakeways. Ms. Jakeways, make sure that we get the notices out as early as possible so the folks are able to attend. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney, do you have anything else in your report?
I have nothing further.
Okay, there's no unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. Item number 1 would be the healthcare benefit renewal. For
Madam Mayor, our Human Resources Director will give you an update and a briefing on that, assisted by Finance Director and anybody else who has some input on it from staff. Ms. Gross.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. In your packet on page 64, you have a proposed resolution for the healthcare benefit renewal for full-time employees for 2023 through 2024. As you know, it renews April 1st. Ms. Pesta and I met with our insurance representative last week, and we went over our annual benefit review. He did provide us with a few different quotes, and after reviewing the quotes, Blue Cross Blue Shield, who we are currently with, is still the most competitive. So we are recommending a renewal of the current plan that we are in. We also are recommending a switch in our life insurance provider. We are currently with Madison Life, and we are looking to switch to Mutual of Omaha. The coverage is almost identical. They will provide us with a 2-year rate guarantee and the overall cost saving of about 5%.
Okay.
Ms. Pesta, you got anything to add to that?
Miss anything?
We're good?
No, I'm good. She covered it.
Okay.
Unless you have anything.
Maybe
Got a
question.
The medical, did the price remain the same, or did it increase? What is the increase?
It did not remain the same. There is a 9.5% increase.
Nothing remains the same. It's still the cheapest.
We did ask, yes, for another quote. Priority Health was at 12%.
Okay, and when you say Mutual of Omaha saves us 5%, what's the increase over the current?
As far as the cost?
Mm-hmm.
So per year, it'd be about $1,300.
But what's the increase from the current to the new? You're saying this Mutual of Omaha is going to save us 5%, but 5% of what? That's what I'm saying.
We're going to be sorry, excuse me. It's going to be over $1,500 savings per year.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
What is the total of the life insurance part of the policy?
Right now, through Madison Life, our premium for the year is $8,000, and then we're going to be going down to $7,800.
Nice. Good work.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what's the pleasure of council on this proposal?
Osnick will make the motion, a resolution approving a health care benefit package for full-time employees for the planned year, April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024, this being proposed resolution 2023-04.
Fernandez will second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Locke. Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next proposal is for healthcare benefit for prior employees. Who is addressing this one?
I'm going to leave that to Ms. Gross. Ms.
Okay.
Gross. Essentially, it's,
Yeah, the proposed
Maintain-
resolution
Go
is on page 66 of your packet, and again, this is just for the eligible prior employees, and there were no changes.
you're continuing a policy that you established some years ago by providing that. We're not recommending you make an adjustment or cancel that benefit for prior employees this
Okay.
year. We can still do it, so staff's recommend you continue to do that. This is very much like the previous resolutions for the last several years.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same for 13 years, I guess, that I've been here.
Same
so.
people.
But you do have to rule on it. You can make that adjustment anytime you choose. You could do it tonight, but we're recommending you steady as you go on the prior employees.
Okay, what's the council's pleasure? Do I have a motion?
But before we make a motion, so on that idea of making a change, even though I'm not saying to make a change, that would be saying that once you get to a certain age, you've got to go to Social Security and you have to blend, and, I mean, that's, I think, the other side of the coin. And then there's a battle because these people were promised these things, and just to throw it out there. Okay.
Okay, now do I have a motion? I think we're all aware of the issue that Bennett just brought forward. So do I have a motion on this amendment, please, or this proposal?
Well,
Anybody?
The other side is to say that we're going to change our direction and renegotiate this pact. I don't know that today is the right day to do that.
If there's no motion to approve it, then the benefits cease.
Fernandez makes the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Lublin will support it.
Okay. Doesn't sound like anybody wants to discuss anything any further, so let's have a roll call vote.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Locke. Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, that one was like pulling teeth. Okay, the next one, number 3, we have a resolution to appropriate funds for maintenance of the public safety campus.
Well, we're going to need some work out here very soon, and I'm going to bring Mr. Ladd up one more time. I know you all enjoy his public speaking, so Mr. Ladd, can you get him up to speed on how much it's going to cost to fix that parking lot out
It's a
there?
little under $24,000 to rehab the existing parking lot here at the city campus, not including the brand-new lot next door on the expansion campus project. So it includes cleaning all the cracks, removing all the old sealant that the cracks were filled with, cleaning them all out, resealing them, cleaning the parking lot, removing any oil stains or anything like that, 3 coats of seal coat, and then restriping the whole parking lot in yellow and blue for the handicap. And that would be done in April.
If you've been in the lot lately, you've seen that weather in Michigan does its damage. The cracks are there. The engineering was terrific way back when. The water still flows where it's supposed to flow. It's pretty great. It doesn't puddle, but the cracks are there. And so rather than wait that much longer, I think we try to save it for a few more years, and we do that by voting for our resolution.
I have a question for Mr. Ladd. When was that put in, the new parking lot?
I think it was 7 years ago.
About 7 years ago?
16?
Okay. So this is a pretty good sum for just amortization of taking care of what we've already got then.
I think it's a fair price. I've solicited several quotes. They did it 2 years ago, and what they did held up pretty good. But like I say, with our winters here, the heaving.
Is it the same
the
group
frost.
that went around to all of the roads and repaired the cracks?
Yes,
Okay.
A&R seal coating.
Okay, okay, they've done good work. In that case, I'll make a resolution appropriating funds and authorizing a contract to seal coating the public safety campus parking lot. Resolution 2023-05, with the not to exceed $25,000.
Is there support for the motion?
Woods will second.
Okay, is there any discussion or any questions on it? Being none, we'll have a roll call.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Locke. Lublin.
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the items on our agenda, so we will go into council comments, starting with Mindy.
I want to thank Dan for his hard work. And, you know, we come back to him all the time with different questions, and he always has an answer, and or he's willing to get right back with us. And I really, really appreciate that. I see him a lot out working around this city while I'm out walking my dogs. He drives by and we chat for a little bit. And so I know that he cares about the city, and he's really working hard to make sure that it's a safe and clean city for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Woods.
I'd like to say that the recent award ceremony from the Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce was well attended. And I was happy to be a part of it, and especially with our Mayor Ackley, receiving one of the prestigious awards. It was very nice and neat to hear kind of your history with Decker Road. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Ambrose.
Basically, I mimicked the same thing from Councilmember Fernandez and Councilmember Woods. Without our city staff, without Dan Ladd, without our administration, our city wouldn't be where we're at today. I can thank city manager, city attorney. I can continue that chain of thanking people. But you all put in that hard work, and it shows every week, every day in the city. It looks better and better. Mayor, I'd also like to congratulate you on winning the Lifetime Achievement Award, as well as we have a new business that opened up in Walled Lake. I believe it's called Do It Best Hardware. They're across the street from my facility. As well, they're in the same plaza as the Salvation Army, so make sure you guys support our local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Osnick.
What more can be said about our fantastic staff? They know how I feel about them. You know, whenever it comes time for kudos in a monetary fashion, I'm there for them. So, and we need to keep our staff well paid and happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
So I'm excited about Riley Park and the pickleball courts. I think that's going to be a great addition to our community. I mean, we've got the great the play structure equipment is all new and fresh, and this will just make the park something that I think we'll all be proud of. And I think I'm ready to have that renegotiation eventually with our previous employees. That I'm not saying to take away benefits, or to make it less, but if we can reshuffle and save money in doing that, I know that's work for our people, and I'm ready for that battle. So let's, we need to have that conversation, and April 1st, we're already there. We need to have more time to prepare for that.
We've got a year now.
There you go. That's my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As everyone has seen in the mayor's report, as part of the agenda, is the article that came out on our audit this year. I'm very proud of our city manager and our staff and the audit report that we received. I was very impressed with the article in the Public Notice Weekly that was written by Ann Siebenaut. And as I said before, it's just great to receive an audit report like this. I lived through too many that were not as as good as this one was. Now we have the best, and I hope that we continue to strive for that. The awards banquet, it was just so great to see everyone that was able to make it from the city to be there supporting me. And if it wasn't for my city council, my staff, or the staff and the city manager, I wouldn't have been there. I've always had the support, and it was just a very, very heartwarming evening for me. And it's probably one of the nicest things that's been done. So I was just very, very overwhelmed and very impressed with the whole evening. And that's all I have to say tonight. We need a motion to go into executive session. And I would like to ask that Mayor Pro Tem Lublin will chair the session, because I will not be able to stay in the meeting for that. I will catch up with the city manager tomorrow or the next day as to the guidance that was given. I have full faith that the council knows which direction that we do have to go on this, and we'll work out with the city manager. So with that note, do I have a motion to take the council into executive session after a short recess?
I'll make the motion.
Ambrose will second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Locke, Lublin,
Yes.
Osnick.
Yes.
Woods.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fernandez.
Yes.
Ackley.
Yes. And I do have one more comment. I'm sorry. It's very nice to have our County Commissioner Remen with us tonight. I think he has shown that he really sincerely cares about Wall Lake and wants to help us as we try to move forward. And I thank you very much for being here with us tonight. With that, I would say we would take a short recess.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Rahman's going to come up for a few moments.
I'd like to make a comment.
Certainly.
Okay.
Come on up, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, our wonderful city administration, city manager. As introduced earlier, my name is Dr. Ajay Rahman. I'm really excited to be the new 14th District County Commissioner, representing Wall Lake, Wixom, portions of Novi, portions of Commerce Township. As I've listened and heard today, there's obviously quite a bit that goes into running a city. There's a lot of time, energy, thought, deliberation that goes into making these decisions. At the end of the day, a lot of it, as I've learned in my short time in this role already, comes down to money. Making sure we have enough money for all the different things that are important in running a city. One thing I am definitely committed to doing, for Wall Lake, and I don't make any promises. I don't have any reason to make promises and not live up to them. But what I have seen is we do have a lot of ability at the county level to do many things. We have the ability to secure grant funding. We have the ability to advocate for ARPA funding. We have the ability to advocate for the Tri-Party program. So those are just a couple of the things that I know are already in the works after my initial meeting with our wonderful city manager here. Something as simple as the fire department, when we were talking about recruiting and being able to maintain and retain staff, there's actually grant programs out there to make sure that we are competitive. So things like that I'm certainly looking into and advocating on behalf of Wall Lake. Because at the end of the day, we need somebody to make sure those monies, those dollars are able to be directed where they're most needed. And a city like Wall Lake has been here, and it's a smaller city. for it to compete with the Novi is tough, and I certainly appreciate and respect that. And for that reason, the challenges are unique, the opportunities are unique, and I'm certainly going to do whatever I can to help advocate and be the rally cry to whatever you need. So please consider me here, consider me a resource. I look forward to working closely with all of you. I'm only a phone call or email away if anything is needed, and I plan to attend many more of these city council meetings. But in the meantime, again, thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward again to working with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Okay, let's take a short recess, and I will talk with everyone.
We have risen from executive
Recording in
session,
progress.
and we have gone over the items that we discussed, and we will find out more. There are no motions to be made. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yep. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
WC.